Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another OS Talk. Today, we're joined with Firam and Mao, the BN test creators. We're going to be asking them some questions. Now, this is one I've wanted to do for quite some time. We're going to be able to go over some of the BN test process. Now, this all has been documented as well on an awesome post. We'll be able to link that up to you guys that kind of shows the thought process beyond it. But we're going to dive in here today and ask them some questions. We're joined with Deadbeat as well, as always, and we're going to get right into this thing.
Yes, hello, I am here.
Hello.
Hello.
So how are you two doing?
I'm fine. It's pretty nice to be here.
It's nice to have you. And what about you, Firam? And I know I'm gonna butcher your name, but you could slap me later. I promise.
You did it right until now. Well, I'm fine too. I'm fine too.
All right. Okay, so one of the first questions that we would like to ask is, now we know that making these tests is no easy feat and a lot of time goes into it. But would you be able to give us an idea on like how long a written section takes to create? Like how long do you feel the actual written section takes?
So part A.
Yes, part A.
Do you want to start, Ferum, or should I start answering this?
Go ahead.
Well, for standard, we usually do it over a few days, collect ideas and write them down. I don't exactly know how long in terms of hours it would take. Probably 3 to 5.
3 to 5, and over a course of like a week, would you say that like 3 to 5's like the base time you'd set, but over the course of a week, maybe give that maybe 1 or 2 hours a day? Because I understand you got to talk with other members, get stuff finalized, okayed.
Yeah, also fix the reading with GBH, and because we are no English natives,
Yeah,
and
that's understandable.
everything has to be completely certain so that people can't say I misunderstood the question, because that could be a problem.
Yeah,
And
language
with
barrier.
not being native, yes.
Yeah, it can get rough. And I mean, as far as I've seen throughout the tests, I mean, it's very clear, cohesive. I can understand it just fine, and I am native English, so I would like to say that you guys are doing an excellent job on it. It's pretty simple and easy to understand. And I'm guessing, Firam, with how you run the Mania test, it's pretty much around the same, but is there any more, do you have like a longer time period versus standard due to the fact that Mania has a little smaller of a modding base, or does that not affect it too much?
I would say not really. We didn't need that much time for the writing up questions. I think around 3 hours. Yeah,
And about 3 hours mainly for the write-up, and then like, just like with standard, just taking it back and forth, getting confirmed stuff.
exactly.
Yeah, and that's cool. How many people would you guys say for each mode respectively? Would you say handles like helping you confirm it? Is it a small, tight-knit community on there, or is it a group of people?
Well, helping with the questions is mostly, us being responsible for doing that. And can I name people here?
I don't think that it would be too bad of a thing to say, but at the same time, like, just be careful with what you put out there. As you guys all know, whoever's listening here, the tests do have to remain secretive to some point. We want to kind of shine as much light as we can, but at the same time, these tests have to be set that way. There's no easy ways out. There's no way you can cheat it. It's a very strict system, and it has a lot of benefit for it, but you have to be careful on that. So even if you do find out who helps with this, like just a moment ago, they said one user helps with spell checking. That doesn't mean they're actually creating the thing. So getting that out of the way, I feel like you can go ahead and let people know who helps you like spell check and get things set for English. But no, they're not going to know too much of what's going on, guys. So don't, it's just like a warning. Don't go out and attack the people that we talk about, or be like, hey guys, what's this? Or how do I do this? Or can you tell me that?
Yeah, that should probably not happen. But yes, we mainly have 2 people checking the questions in the end, which would be basically Loctave and GBH.
Yeah.
Because they are really proficient in English and help with spell checking, help with misunderstandable questions and rewrite some stuff. And that's mostly what they are doing. The rest is mainly for standard, the ones currently working on the test itself, also part B. So mainly me, Irre, and at the moment Desperate Coon as well.
Ah, well, that's cool. Awesome. I have one more question before I let Deadbeat take the next segment here. So this one's a little bit personal. But has the written section of the test been completely revamped, or is it still going off a base I made for it way back when? Because not too many people might know, but I did help with the initial creation of the standardized test for the standard mode. And I don't know how much of that stuck. I don't know if any of it stuck. And I just kind of want to know. It's been on my mind.
And well, what exactly do you mean? We still just do the multiple choice things where
Yeah,
you can tick whatever you like.
Yeah, but has the multiple choice, like, has the basis of those questions been completely revamped? Have they changed? Is it somewhat still along that same line? Are those topics being touched? I know I'm hitting you with a lot of stuff, but I'm interested about that because it was kind of like my little main baby when I started it out, and then it blew up into this thing that's really done a lot of good for the community, and I'm glad there's smart and talented people in there making sure that we have good tests, and I feel like it has been improving the quality of modding throughout the years.
I don't think that we actually changed a lot from the first test. I think it's still basically the same. We didn't try to change anything, at least, because our main focus was to revamp the part B from the first test.
Yeah, you guys have done a stellar job on that, by the way.
Thank you.
All right, so that kind of answers that. Well, Firam, now that is a little bit different with yours because you probably had to write up the entirety of the Mania questions, if not mistaken, because it's completely different mode. Has that been adjusted as well, or has it just been tweaked to fit the Mania?
I think we did rewrite not a lot, but we did rewrite indeed some questions, Mania specific questions, but overall I think it stays still the same. Yeah.
That's kind of cool. That is neat. I did not expect to hear that, but I'm not mad at it either. That's neat. It just goes to show that I might not be doing it actively now, but at least it's still kind of being used and being helpful, and that's awesome. All right, Deadbeat. Feel free to take it away with the next two.
Yes. All right. So, how do you both feel about the points needed to pass? Do you think this is something that should be more flexible?
For Mania, I can tell the points we did need to pass people. I think we are pretty on a good way now because people did do pretty well. I think pretty well in part A, and then part B comes when they show really a good modding, they can pass it. That's no problem. So we are really on a good point where people can pass it when they know what they do.
I personally think that we aren't actually that inflexible here because it really depends on how hard the actual test is, because obviously you can't do each test the same difficulty. We mainly stick to the 75, and I think that's a pretty good measurement because we have 50 points on one side and 50 points on the other side, so you can just do one part of it completely and just get half of the points in the other one. So it's pretty fair, actually, I think. I don't know, how is it for Mania? Do you still do the 70 point or the 70 points? Okay.
No, we get up to 75 this
Oh,
test.
you did? Oh,
we did.
Okay.
It was actually a pretty good idea, I think.
Yeah, I've noticed the pass rates have been increasing. Like we're getting more and more people that are actually able to pass this, and that's great. And I've always wanted to know if that was changed. I know there was talk of it in the beginning, if it would needed to be flexible or not. But it does look like you guys are doing pretty good on it. Like, I mean, of course you probably, like, no names spoken, obviously, but of course you probably get those entries that are just absolutely like, what were they thinking? And the fact that you keep it at 75 is good, because then you don't get these people that like look like they know what they're doing and then dangerously just rush through the other part. And having it at that cap allows for no mistakes like that. I mean, you'd have to literally try to get it wrong. If you knew everything in the written and you got everything wrong on the modding, you're trolling at that point. I don't see how you couldn't pass. So those people that get those really low abysmal scores and sit there and talk and then like, oh man, I can't get this done. It's too hard of a test. It doesn't make sense. Like you could see like in their ratings if it's like they're just messing or if they're actually, you know, wanting to become a modder.
Well, one problem I saw with this last time was that there were a few people, not naming names again, that just modded 2 out of 4 difficulties, where I just thought, what were they thinking? Just that they don't mod the full thing. Why do they think they could pass this?
That's some crazy stuff that you'll never completely know on. Anyways, Deadbeat, I'm sorry. These are your questions. I'm just kind of interjecting. It's a fun subject for me.
I mean, it's just adding on, really. I'm actually kind of curious, like, how often do you come across people who just short on the points they need?
For standard, we had quite a few actually, right above the 75. Not that many right below it, but there was a big portion of people between 75 and 80, I think.
And for Mania, I can tell we had it, or the people that passed the test, it was half-half. The half was really close to 75. So yeah, and the other half was like over 80. So.
Ooh, I have an interesting discussion topic really quick that I kind of want to interject on this. If that's okay, Deadbeat.
Yeah, you go for it.
All right. So, like, you say we have lots of people getting close to passing and a lot of people not passing, but one thing I've always wanted to know is, like, is there still activity requirements to take the test? Do you still have to be actively modding in the community in order to take a BN test?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And that being said, does it worry you any when you see all these people that are technically able to take said test, which means they're active in the community, helping people out, giving mods, and then seeing, like, hypothetical, of course, I don't know if any of this has actually happened, but say you have modder A here that is modding like crazy, just knocking out mod after mod, scored like maybe 80 Caduceus in a month. That's pretty impressive. But then they get like a 32 on the test. Does that worry you at all? Like,
for standard, I just saw some people only modding for the sake to take the test, so I am not certainly worried about them, because I know if they fail the test they would just stop modding because they just modded to take the test. And well, there are also these people obviously mod a lot and fail the tests. I mean, it is concerning, but they are trying their best to improve, and they took our feedback. I'm really happy about these who asked for feedback, actually, for their tests, because I like it when people want to improve and are not just like, oh my god, I suck so much at this because I failed the test.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that was really time consuming is when we very first initialized these things and got them out, we were required to give feedback regardless. And boy, I can tell you right now, some people, like you say, are more than welcome for feedback, but then other times you'll have people that are like, no, I don't want any feedback, I'll just try again later. But like the whole point of the question, like, is so you tongue tied. Anyways, I can't grab it right now.
You've
Oh,
lost your train of thought.
Yes, I did.
The whole point of asking for feedback is...
Yeah, the whole point for asking for feedback is to improve, but like we do see improvement. It's not something that like at first when I was doing feedback for people, you figure 80, 90 people per test, you know. And when you give feedback, you assume, okay, well, hopefully they'll do better. The first test and then the second test sequential to that one did not yield the same type of results. But that was also because the test didn't really get that much love to it. It wasn't really worked as good as it could have been. But anything new starting out always is going to be rocky. But you guys have gotten it to a point where like you see some people not make it and then maybe next time they will. And they're not giving up. And that's like the best thing we could have for our community.
Yes. That's really good. I am really... I mean, we will have the second standard test made by us really soon, and I'm really interested to see how people improved that applied for the last one and took it, but failed it. So I'm really interested in seeing their results after I've checked it. I mean, obviously we are doing the checking anonymously, but we know it later. I was falling back into German.
I'm actually curious,
No problem.
do either of you get feedback on the tests themselves from the community? Like, do people come up to you and say, this was a really good test, or I really enjoyed this part of it? Does anyone ever do that?
Yes, some people came to me and said, this was so much fun, I just enjoyed taking this test. This made me actually really happy. I don't know about Ferum.
We had that exactly the same this time. We had some people who came to me who did it last round but didn't pass it and passed this time, and they were really happy because when I know right, the last time I didn't made the test, I wasn't QAT then. But this time we made all. I remember one moment. Last time we had short sections of 10 seconds, 20 seconds, when I remember right what Blocko did, and this time we had really a full beat map from easy to insane, and it was way better, and we got really positive feedback on this.
Yeah,
I'm actually
that
really happy to hear that you guys have been getting good feedback on it.
Yeah, the
We
feedback.
actually got good feedback from people who did not pass. They
I
were
was
like,
just about to ask that.
yeah, they were like, oh, I didn't pass it, but it wasn't a waste of my time. It was actually fun to take the test.
I was curious to know if people would have the same sort of positive feedback if they didn't pass.
People did complain in Mania about 1 point, and I confess it was a little mistake of me and Blocko because we missed the point that we doesn't have actually to map the whole song, and we took a 3-minute song or 4-minute and mapped every full difficulty for it. So people sit like 6 hours on the test.
Yeah.
That could be unfortunate. But
Yeah, the actual point of this was to just have like 1:30 or 1 minute to mod.
Yeah, and we had the full song 4 times.
Oh, these poor applicants.
But it was still a pretty good test.
all right. That being
Essentially,
said, guys, hold on, Deadbeat. Because this merges into it, so you should be able to add your thing to it as well. We've been talking about it for a while now. So Section B has seen many revisions since the test started. And for the most part, it seems like you guys are happy with the changes. But do you still feel there might be room for improvement?
Yes. It's always hard to simulate issues in maps. I mean, just take as an example that you are a new mapper and you are thinking that everything you do is fine in your map. And we are quite experienced mappers, and if we try to make these mistakes, it's always hard to make them exactly like people who are thinking that what they are doing is just fine. And
Yeah.
just so hard to get a real authentic bad map.
it almost feels like one way that you could probably tackle that problem is just getting someone that doesn't know much of anything to make something. But then that the problem comes into with trust and how well that would be kept under wraps and everything like that.
And you can't just go to somebody and say, hey, your map is shit, please make one for the test.
Yeah, it wouldn't work like that so much. That being said, Ephraim, how do you feel about like the revisions since the test? Like you said, no longer do you have to do the little 10-second difficulties. You get a whole map set. Do you feel like that is good, or what ways would you improve that?
This is actually good, but we want to take the next time maybe a little shorter song, and I think we still can improve the section B a little bit, but for this I need to talk Blocko a little bit more, because I don't know, it's hard to make, like Mao said, for standard, actually intentionally bad map. It's a little bit hard. It's because we don't want to add every time the same wrong things. It's hard to make it different next time.
I mean, it's easy to add just unrankable things, but
Yeah.
when it comes to quality, it is just so hard to simulate
Exactly.
bad quality.
Yeah, and not only that, you kind of got to try to hide it as well. You can't have it just out there in plain sight. You need it. It needs to kind of flow and feel like it would be all right, but at some points not be all right, and that's really hard. I totally understand where you're coming from there.
Yeah, you can't just go in your face with one bad quality pattern and then continue with an okay map and then just throw in another bad quality pattern. This just feels not like it was made by someone who doesn't know what they are doing. It just feels like it's artificially there for the purpose of testing people.
Exactly.
And it, like you said, it gets very easy to point out. Like it was when Charles had originally done the B section for the very first one, I pointed out everything, and he's like, "Whoa, how did you get everything?" And I'm like, "Dude, they're right there. There's only 10 seconds. There's gonna be a problem, or there's not." Like, and it was really easy for me to pick apart, but it did work. I was surprised too. I didn't have a lot of faith going into it. I'll be quite honest with you guys. When we very first ran the first test, I'm like, dude, everybody's going to find all these. We're going to have a bajillion BNGs. It's going to be ridiculous. I was sadly mistaken. And a lot of people didn't find a lot of the stuff, which is a good thing. But for me, I was just scratching my head. I'm like, how can you miss that? But like you said, it's very hard for someone who has experience and knows where things should go, how things should work, how to make something like that and hide it.
Yes, that's a problem. But well, for Charles' test again, I just thought that this was in the 10-second snippets. It just wasn't that hidden, but at the same
it's like needle in
time,
a haystack. But
at the same time, I just was like 10 seconds. This just doesn't feel real to me as something like that. What I would mod personally, I don't mod 10-second snippets of maps.
Very true.
I mean, that is why we've changed it in general.
Yeah, and I feel like that's actually a change for the better. That being said, though, we'll go ahead and keep this thing chugging right along. Deadbeat, if you'd like to get those next two, feel free.
I just want to quickly pop back a bit because you did move on ahead. Earlier I asked if there were people like just failed. Do you often get people who pass like 100 out of 100, just everything right, perfect?
Ooh, I would like to hear that too. I'll actually wait on my BRB because I want to hear that. Have we had a solid win? I know we've had pretty high, but I think the highest I've ever heard of is like 86.
We had in part B a 49.5 out of 50, but not in part A. I think the highest we had was 91.5 in the last test.
That is amazing.
That's still pretty good.
Like we went from our highest being like an 86 from when I used to actively look them over, and now you're saying 91. That is good. That means people are improving.
What about you, Furum? Have you had pretty high stuff, or was Mal's answer included in the Mania?
This Mania test had actually, I remember one pretty high score, 86.5.
That's still pretty good as well.
Still pretty good, yes.
It's pretty good that people are getting higher. I cannot wait though if someone actually does get a perfect score. That'll be pretty cool. Just like instant QAT them. They're too good for the nominators.
Just send them right to the QAT.
Yeah, it's like you can bypass the nominator and go straight to the QAT. Up to the red life with you.
I don't think that would be the best idea, though.
No.
Yep.
That could probably go really badly. That means that if we did do that, people would definitely try to go for that 100. Can almost guarantee it.
Oh my god, just saying that going for 100, we had somebody who sit 16 hours on taking this test. At least that's what they said.
16?
Just imagine.
Whoa.
Yes, 16 hours.
What?
Damn, that's some commitment right there.
Just imagine us saying if you get a 100 or a 99, you will be sent straight to the QAT. These guys would be sitting there the whole week examining these difficulties.
I can't get it. I don't know what's wrong. I've looked at everything. Ah!
And that would totally not be what we want, because we want people who do this like they would actually mod a map set, not just staring at the diff and looking at each object and thinking about a possible reason why this could be wrong.
It would be like so bad if you'd spend like the 16 hours on it and then you get the feedback. And the first thing they point at is something super obvious and they just stand there just like, I hate myself. How did I miss this?
Dude, I'm pretty sure if you pointed out something that simple, we would have to like console and like make this person feel better about themselves. Because if I spent 16 hours on something just to miss, the first hit circle was 10 milliseconds off of its actual timing. You should have checked. They should have checked for snap notes, man. Should check. I would go nuts.
It's just like, nope, I don't even want to join you guys anymore. I don't care if I passed, I'm done.
I'm just so done. I'm gonna go to Stepmania now. Bye.
Wow.
Oh, how could you? Like, just imagine how bad you'd feel. Like, oh god, I'd feel so bad for that guy. Please tell me the guy who actually did spend 16 hours on the test actually passed.
He has.
Oh, thank
Oh,
god.
thank God.
If he failed, I would have felt really bad.
He was actually one of the best, I think, so...
Okay, so Debbie, was that the what?
We were talking about my question, not the one you wrote up.
Oh, okay, that's totally fine.
Alright, so moving on to the actual questions. Is there anything you would like to see in future tests to come?
That's a hard one.
Yeah.
Just let me think. What could we... As I've said earlier, the best would be to have maps made by newbies, but that's not an option because of sad issues.
There's probably too many issues.
Nah, we can't just tell them that their maps are shit and take their maps
Yeah,
for
it's more
testing
like-
purposes.
It's more along the lines of a trust thing too. I mean,
Yes.
and see, there is a way that experienced mappers could make a map with errors, but it had errors everywhere, and that's just rush jobbing it. And I don't think, like, trying to comb through a rush job would be absolutely hell to anyone that would have to, like, I could imagine it now. Here is Section B. This map was made roughly in 35 minutes. Find as many issues as you can.
Actually, if I could pose a counter idea, how about having previous people, like people who passed the previous test? How about getting them to help out with the actual map creation? Like, this is someone who previously passed our tests. Now he's gonna help you get through yours.
It might work, it might not. It just really just depends.
Oh,
Hey,
we have a catch guy.
yeah, there's JB. We'll go ahead and move him up here if he'd like to talk, of course.
Well, I gave him interviewee, so if he wants to join in, he is more than welcome.
Yeah.
Oh, GBH is there. That would be a nice addition here because we lost Dake.
Yeah.
Very much so. But anyways, from that, one big question that a lot of people might want to know, I definitely want to know. Looking back at the tests and everything that started and the modders before the test, do you feel that modders that were created as BNs have overall helped the quality of maps, or do you feel that it's still the same?
I think it has improved if I look back, because back then we just simply added everybody who was active enough, and now we are just adding the ones who are proficient enough. So I think the maps have actually gotten better, but it's really a hard one to tell because the mapping meta itself has changed a lot over the last 2 years, or yeah, the last 2 years we have the BN now. And that's actually pretty hard to answer because what do you consider a bad map now?
Yeah, I understand it's very subjective, but like in terms, do you feel that we have as many unranks as we did before? Like numbers, things that you can see with numbers, I feel that has been overall improvement since we started doing the tests.
But that's a hard one as well because now we are acting on reports and not just hunting down every map as the QAT.
True.
The idea of
That
witch
is a rough
hunting
one.
maps kind of did seem a little off-putting, I guess.
Yeah, it got really ridiculous there for a while, and I'm glad that we made changes that kind of walked away from that, as it was getting really attack based, and that's nothing we want to do. We want to try to stay as transparent as possible and provide the best service we can to our mappers and content creators.
There's a good point, actually. Speaking of transparencies, and also hello Hyperion, you guys are now actually doing the QAT Tumblr posts. What was that about?
We have a blog that comes out. Usually we try and get one every kind of 2 or 3 weeks that explains stuff like how the disqualification process is handled. We just had one that came out this recent week about the results of the Catch, Mania and Tycho BN tests and the feedback that the people who created the tests gave for them. So it's really just trying to show everyone that we're not big, bad, scary people, and we're people too.
Yeah, no, I think it's a really good idea, actually, but like I said, I'm curious, like, what actually started that? Whose idea was it?
Well, it was because we are now mainly doing internal tasks, like we are doing the ranking criteria revamp, we're doing the tests and everything, and that is kind of not that open for the community to see. The community doesn't see us that much anymore, like when we were just disqualifying all the maps. And so many people in the community just ask themselves, what are the QATs even doing? And we just wanted to show them that we are not inactive and that we are actually doing stuff, but doing internal stuff. And so we started blogging and showing them what we are doing and kind of telling them how everything in the QAT works. So like the first post in it was about the division into the charts, into the ranking criteria revamping, into the tests, and into the metadata checking. So we just want to show them how the QAT works and be as transparent as possible.
I think that's a really good idea. Again, like, I think Oz itself has been moving quite a lot towards transparency, especially in the development area, and it's really good to see sections of the staff doing the same. I think that's something the community really appreciates.
It's nice that the news comes out every week to tell people what's going on in tournaments and like especially with the OWC that's on now. So if we as the QAT can do something similar and let everyone know what we're up to, that we're not just kind of hanging back and resting on our red name tag, then that's a good thing.
It's like, yeah, guys, don't worry, we're totally doing stuff. Yeah, what are we doing? You know, just stuff. You know.
What I think is a little bit sad is that there are so few people who actually know that the QAT block exists. Like, I've asked people and they said, "What is this thing? I don't know that this exists. Like, it is not even promoted in the news."
Yeah,
like when there's a new entry.
When did you say the last blog was posted out? A week ago?
Let me just check.
Yeah, another thing, just to give you guys an idea, we will also be having links to the said blogs in the post on the OS Talk in YouTube, and hopefully if we get a news post on the OS Talk, I'm definitely going to make sure that those links get put on the main page as well. That way we can kind of keep everybody updated on this. They do update this quite regularly, so it is a great read if you're interested in how the inner workings of OS's quality assurance works. They'll definitely be able to give you that, and you might be able to learn a few things about some of the QA team members you did not know previously, and that's always a good way to kind of break the ice with them, because like they said, guys, they're not monsters. Me and Deadbeat, we're not monsters either. We'd love to be approached. Obviously, we might not respond too much if the first thing you type is mod map, please, and then just leave. But, you know, if you're just wanting to talk and find out, like, how things are going and inner workings of the game, then I'm pretty sure nobody would mind telling you as much as they can. I've never really had too much of a problem with it, and I know by seeing how well these things have been handled, and we've got great people that are wanting to do great things for each respective mode. Oh my god, I said great too many times.
Okay, how about I put this? We're people just like you. You treat us like people and we'll get along just fine.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I figured that's what you're going for.
So the last this question here is for all three of you, JB, Fearum, and or Fearum, and Mao. So what actually got you guys started? And it's a really good question to segue into, because like JB was saying, everybody, you know, wants to show that they're doing stuff and they're not sitting on the red name tag just because they can. What actually got you guys started in handling the BN tests outside of my laziness? I know that was kind of one of the things because I started, so I apologize.
So
I think it's, if you want to start, Mal.
I would say Fearum could start and we just pass it down.
Why me?
Because you're on top.
Yep.
What, let me get started to the BN test. Let me think. I know that Starry and Blocko made, I think they both made the first BN test. There where I did Aplia's Beatmap Nominator too. And then Blocko was mostly alone. And it's really still a lot of work to make a full map set, make a lot of issues in it, and then section A. So I wanted to just help him out too, because he don't need to make this alone. And also, I just want to see how people react actually to something what I made too, as a test. It's a little bit hard to explain for me right now.
No problem. I get the idea. You had Blocko in there, and Blocko's been doing a lot of stuff for everybody in terms of Mania.
Exactly.
And like he was just getting slammed, and you saw your buddy, and you're like, "No, I can't let you do this alone." You know.
Exactly.
And it's one of the main models of the game. Music games were never meant to be played alone in the first place, so handling a music game was never meant to be handled alone. And like, I know he's most grateful for you being able to, you know, put in your expertise and give him help there, because Mania and Catch are the two modes. Well, Tycho as well now, as some of our Tycho regulars kind of disappeared, at least the ones that would be willing to do the tests. A lot of the guys that actually had the credentials to pull this off either have moved on or just aren't that interested. So it's great that we could see that there's still longevity in the test, because we have dedicated people like you and Blocko that are going to hold that together, and we've got plenty of people in standard as well. But yeah, JB, let's hear about Catch's state. If you wouldn't
well,
mind.
mostly the catch tests were done by Deef, who's obviously been around for a while, so he knows how things work and how things are kind of supposed to be done. Kurakami handled one test, but I don't think it wasn't really kind of something he was interested in, and no one likes to be forced into doing something they don't want to do. So I decided I'd give it a try and help Dave out with that. We got on pretty well, and we got 3 new BNs this round, so I think they did a good job and we did an okay job. So I'm just interested in kind of helping to bring new people forward so that there's a sustainable kind of continuation of the community, because eventually everyone's going to go, so you got to prepare for the future as well.
I'd like to ask you the same question I asked the other two actually. What's the highest score you've seen in a BN test?
I'm not sure about kind of tests that
Test,
happened
exam,
before
whatever.
I took over, but the most recent test we did, the highest score was, I think, 74, 75. But I'm sure that higher scores occurred in previous tests.
74. It's quite low.
Deef and I are pretty mean, so.
Yeah.
Ferrum and Mal were saying that like they had a, what was it, 91 and a 87 or something?
91.5 was our highest last time.
Wow.
That we were too nice. We have to be meaner.
Oh, we can teach you, don't worry.
I don't know. We were having all kinds of lovey, fun, awesome talk a second ago, and now you guys are talking about cracking whips.
No, see, what,
Run, Marty.
what you do is you turn up the beat snap divider all the way up to max, move it back 1 tick, and then put it back down to what it was before. So it looks unsnapped. so it looks
will know.
like it's supposed to be there, but it's not. But it's not unsnapped, so it won't show up in the snap thingy.
Good idea.
So what about you, Mal? What got you started in with the BN tests?
Well, as you know, Charles just went poof after the first
Yes.
test.
Yes, you
And-
did.
That sounds
And
like
so-
Charles.
And so Loctave just needed somebody else to do it, and month passed, and the QAT was just drying out a little bit. So Loctave and I had a talk, and he said that we just need the test right now, and then I just sacrificed myself there. And
Took one for the team.
yeah, and Ere was already considered to make it, so I just went to Ere and told him, let's just do this now, because Loctave wants the test now. We need it now. The last test has been in standard 6 months ago, and this is a way too long period. So
Yeah.
we just sat down and considered how could we revamp this, and our test was in fact the first one that made a full map set.
Yeah, I kind of feel bad about that, because, I mean, a little bit of epic foreshadowing here is I was approached to do the tests, and I was like, no.
Well,
like, nope.
I actually wanted to make a full map set because I took the first test as well.
Mm-hmm.
We all did, and I talked to a lot of other people who took it, and I just heard a lot about them complaining that it didn't really feel like something you would do as a modder or a BN, because it just were some random snippets out of context of a whole map. And that was definitely something I really wanted to change there. And so we came to do the map set.
And change is what you did. Now, this next question that comes up is a little bit on the risque side, but definitely something that I know a lot of people have talked about in the forums. We've heard a lot of people speak about it. Maybe more the vocal community more than just the community as a whole. I don't want to go out and say everybody's saying it, of course, but some do worry about the test being slated to one style of mapping. Taking that into consideration, could you clear up a few things with that? Like, are things set to one style? Do you guys try to create different styles for each difficulty? Like, how would you go about that? And each one of you can answer that respectively for each of your game mode.
In standard, I can say that, well, we have 3 standard map creators, so we have basically 3 different styles, even though Desperate Coon and my style are not that different. But we try to simulate the most common issues at the moment, so we always look at the maps at the moment and try to kind of represent styles that are pretty common today, and we also work together with the United Beat Knights of Ranking Criteria, however they are called. And yes, we just try to make the styles and the maps as recent as possible, as in touch with the current issues and styles present as possible. I mean, it's pretty hard for us to map in different styles for us, but we try.
Yeah, so you try to keep it up to date with the current standings and the main mapping meta, which is great. That's good to hear. Like, you are making effort to go out of your comfort zone and put it into perspective for what is actually being played, ranked, approved, loved, however you want to call it today.
Yes.
If I could just kind of carry on from that point,
Yeah,
Mal
for sure.
was saying that it's difficult to kind of map in not your own style. But one of the fun things that we've tried to do is like deliberately go outside that style. And since you're out of your comfort zone, seems a bit silly, but you are more likely to make mistakes and kind of do things that aren't 100% safe. So when the potential BNs are kind of looking at the map and modding it, it feels more like a normal mod rather than a test where you have to find these 3 things and everything else is fine. That
Yes.
there can be subjective points that you think, oh, that was a good suggestion. I like how they've thought about this in a different way. So we award marks based on like the judge's impression and how we think they've gone about it, rather than just they got this, tick tick, get some marks.
Yeah, and for Mania, I can say we have it a bit easier to make, let's say, different styles in different tests, because we have different K modes. We have 4 to 9, and
Yeah.
we don't try to take 4 key or 7 key, because that's like something that everyone can just mod, or most people can play it. We want people to have something that is, something that they don't look into it every day or don't do it every day, like 5 key or 8 key.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
just changing it up on them a little bit, because not only that, well, Juan, I wouldn't say that it's anti-meta so much, but no, because there's so many. You can anti-meta map a 4-key map. In all honesty, there's so many different styles, and if you just go to the style that's not being used the most, you can just do it however you want. And throwing modders out of their comfort zone with something like Mania
Exactly.
is Furum saying, like, that is hard to do, because it's very, like, you got the lanes, you got the placement of the notes on the lanes, and anybody who's in Mania knows, like, your trills, your hand jacks, everything like that. They're pretty good and proficient at what they do. I will say that thing. The Mania community is, like, they're no beginners. There's very few actual beginners in the Mania community. They've had experience somewhere before.
Yeah.
And, like, how he's saying you got to throw a little something different at them is a good way, because, I mean, you could just go off basic Step Mania knowledge and probably BS your way into the BN if they didn't do anything like that. And so that's actually really good. I enjoy hearing that. Thank you, Fear.
Problem. And we also have the difference between, like Juan said in the comments, we can make even maybe a very long note heavy map for a BN test, or a difficulty at least, like a hard difficulty which has really a lot of long nodes, and people don't have this every day too, because we don't have that much beat maps which are pretty heavy at long nodes. So there's a lot of different styles we can actually do in Mania.
All right, thank you so much for that. That being said, guys, we're at our last silly question here, and then we'll just kind of banter for a few. We're almost at time anyways. It looks like the last one, this is just a fun question, obviously. Say if 30 out of the 30 test takers were to pass, would all of them become BM? I know generally as a rule of thumb, we only see maybe about 1 to 8 new members per test, but what would happen if everybody passed? Would you feel comfortable pushing that many people through?
I mean, we pushed 27 BNs in 2014.
Yeah, but that wasn't so much
that.
with that wasn't so much with the test, though, was it?
But we did it twice in the time span of a week.
Yeah,
In
and didn't chaos
2014.
ensue? I'm pretty sure it was pretty chaotic.
But it worked.
It did
in
work.
the end.
Weren't
think at that
those
point you
like
just
the
have to kind
initial
of-
waves of the BN though?
Yeah.
I
don't
feel
know.
like that would be a slightly different situation rather than just like adding 30 people.
I can imagine JB waking up and just seeing 30 new catch mods. And probably
There aren't
going,
even 30 people in catch. So
I know, that's what I'm saying. He'd be like, wait, what?
where did all these people come
We
from?
have people? Oh, God.
They just magically appeared.
To follow on from that point, though, I think if you did get to that point, you just have to say, okay, we've got to suck up and do some work to kind of guide all these people, because the alternative is changing like the pass threshold and coming up with some shady way of saying, oh, these people deserve to be in and these people don't, and no one wants to do that. That's not fair. So
Yeah.
we try and
And I
keep
mean-
it as fair and transparent and consistent as possible.
One way you could potentially do it is if too many people did pass and you could only have a certain number, you could take the people who got the highest scores.
Like
Yeah,
the
but that
top
would just
10.
feel like such a jip.
It
Like,
really would. Like, you guys all passed, but we can't take you all.
Yeah, and I mean, don't get me wrong. We've had problems like that in the past. Back when I used to help with the BAT. Oh yeah, we're going that far back, guys. And we used to run the MAT, and we had gotten into a large group session, and like 30 people were supposed to be MAT, and I was like, I don't know if this is a good idea. So I tried to make an executive call and keep it from, getting overcrowded, and it backfired in my face, like really, really bad.
The problem here was the mat actually considered staff or kind of staff back then.
Yeah, that's very true. And I feel like it's a lot more lax. And that's like the best thing for it is the fact that now that it's lax, those kind of decisions don't go kaboom if it happens, right?
I mean, back then the mat had security stuff, and so not everybody was able to join, did it?
No. The Mats actually was just a user group, just like the BNG is now. It did have a purple name, and it had an activity timer set on its color, so it would go from light purple to
Yeah,
super
I
dark.
know that.
Yeah, but there was actually, outside of the beatmap tools, there was nothing that they could do. But I understand that the beatmap tools can make very bad issues, and we learned that the hard way. And I feel like that's why today we've gotten things so much more smoother and streamlined, because let me tell you guys, when stuff blows up, it blows up bad. Like, unfortunately, every once in a while, and it's with any community, you'll have someone that doesn't really care too much or doesn't feel like upholding certain credentials, and then you'll find someone that goes in and like changes all the beatmap metadata to really silly stuff.
You know what my
And-
favorite thing that I missed from the Met was?
What's that?
They're tiny little pupples.
Oh, the Pubbles?
They're
the
little
Pubbles.
pupples.
Oh, God.
It was
I
such
always
a-
thought that was so silly.
It really was.
It's so funny. I haven't been there when this occurred, but I know about this actually.
Yeah, it was a
Little
rock.
bubble.
It was a
Oh.
rock. Yeah, but the image that Ephemeral used was a rock with a G string on. and that was our Pubble. That was our Pubble Rock.
For those, okay, just to
Pubble
clarify a few things. For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, Pubble was something the Matt used to be able to do, which was like, hey, BAT guys, you should have a look at this, because they couldn't bubble.
Yeah.
So they had
that
to
was
do
back-
another way to
Yeah,
get the bat
That was
attention.
back before they could bubble. And
Yeah.
none of the bat actually paid attention to it, so
Oh,
I
no, it
just
was
yelled
a-
really loud.
It
Yeah.
got
I
rejected
yelled
really,
really loud
fast.
at Peppy. I just yelled really loud at Peppy, and I'm like, you got to give these guys the ability to bubble stuff, and they're completely pointless. And then, like, it scared the crap out of me. He's like, fine, Z-Trot, we'll do it. Are we doing it? Do you want to do it? Are we doing it now? Like, tell me. And I got nervous because very seldomly do I get the ability to pull something like that. And even though it kind of flopped, it still set a foundation for something better. And I feel like that's mainly what I do around here. I get people talking, I get conversations started, I blow stuff up, people fix it, and then it comes out better.
I mean, how long did the Pubble last for? I think it was like a month or something. It wasn't that long. Because
Wasn't
everyone was
that
like,
called-
this is not working.
Wasn't that called pre-bubble? And
Yeah, it was
Proto-bubble.
called pre-Bubble,
Bubble?
but
It was
everyone just said
proto-bubble.
Bubble.
Proto-bubble, yeah.
It was
Oh, Proto,
proto-bubble.
okay, yeah. It was even it's
Yeah.
stupider.
This is so weird. They didn't really have a purpose.
No,
they
didn't.
Their purpose was hey, Bat, have a look at this. We can't
Here, we're
bubble
gonna
it, but
icon
we can,
this.
we can do this.
And it wasn't even a
nobody
real
cared.
icon. No, it wasn't even a real icon. They had to link it from push.
That's
was-
so hilarious.
It
It
was
was sad.
really, for lack of a better term, half-assed.
So maps should have gotten a bubble, and a rank.
No, it
The
didn't
hard-
have to
Yeah.
have a. I don't think it had
made
to
it-
have the Pubble.
No, it didn't. You could totally circumvent the entire Matt team and just do whatever you wanted. back
Which I
then. It
think
was
was
really
the
God.
Matt actually did do anyway.
Yeah. Then once I got them the right to do stuff, then the BAT actually started looking at them like, hey, these guys might know what they're doing. Maybe we should pay attention.
This is
And
a
it
horrible
worked
way to
good for
put
a
it.
while. Well, dude, I was a bat. I was one of those very people that was like, I could look at this Pubble. Ooh, but there's a new Sonic the Hedgehog song. I want to go rank that. Let me go help this guy. Like,
Yeah, of course you would.
yeah. But like, I mean, in point in case, like everything has improved a whole lot from back then. It is fun to kind of reminisce on older stuff like that. But, it's not anything that I would want to see come back. I know a lot of people said, oh, the Met should come back. We should have the BAT back. In reality, guys, it's pretty much the same thing, except well-oiled and well-maintained now. It might not look like it as much because, as our interviewees have said, they do a lot of background work now, but they're making effort to let you know what they're doing. So definitely, if you guys haven't checked out that blog, please, I implore you to go give it a look. Read up on the subject. Maybe then you might have a little bit of a better view of these guys that work endlessly to try to make sure your circle clicking adventure is the best one you could possibly have.
I was really worried you were about to say sickness.
No, I was about to say something way else.
Good job.
But
Okay,
that
so
means-
we
That
are,
we need an O's history episode about
I-
that Pubble stuff.
okay, so I will quickly drop this. I have already planned a history episode about the old ranking system.
Oh god, I love you now.
That one will be a while though. That's further down the list. So
Dude, if you have me as a voice for that one,
I
Deadbeat,
probably
I swear
will.
I'm not holding any bars.
Yes, you
Like,
are. You're sticking to the script I give you.
I am not sticking to that script, sir. I'm
You will
gonna tell it
stick
like
to
it
the
is.
script.
I lived it. I lived it,
Then
dude.
you can help me write the script, but you're sticking to it.
Man.
But there is one thing I would like to end this on. So, given the conversation that Zetron and I just kind of rambled on about, how do you guys feel about the changes to the BNG as a whole over the past few years?
Well, the modding system as a whole. Forget.
Yeah, well, BNGs,
BNG.
modding systems, whatever. Like, how do you feel it's progressed over the past few years?
That's
I can't really
such a
comment
hard.
on that since
That's
I was
such
only
a hard
a BN like
question.
2 years ago.
All right, well, I can talk on it because I've been here for 8 years.
I would have been here for 7. Show off!
Yeah. Anyways, I feel that overall we've come so far from just seeing a song that we like, no matter what the circles were on it, and ranking it to the point where in the 2010 mark we were really actually looking for issues. Timing
Oh, I don't
was
care about that. I just
getting
want to
more
know
and more
about the
spot on.
PNG stuff. We just want to focus on the PNG stuff.
And then like, well, I'm getting to that point because first you can't get to the BNG without saying that the bat just did what they wanted at first. Then we actually started worrying about quality. Then like in 2013, we really made a push for quality hardcore. And from 13 to now, I feel like we've pulled back on the restrictiveness, but we've still made sure that quality is there. And that's something that I've been dreaming of since I started this game. It always felt very restrictive. Even if we were able to do pretty much anything we wanted in the beginning, when you got told you couldn't, you never got explained why. And nowadays, you get a very detailed explanation as why that won't work, why this doesn't work. And the teams are more, they might be smaller, they might not be smaller, but regardless of their size, they're way more efficient than they used to be.
Well, I heard about the BAT that it was a lot of circuit jerk back then, especially in the end, at the end of the
Oh yeah,
BAT.
it was pretty sad.
So I think that giving everybody, so really everybody, the opportunity to become a BNG is really a good thing. And I mean, we are still monitoring quality, so that is a good improvement overall. I can't say that much about it too, because when I joined, there still only was the BAT, but I wasn't there actively ranking maps when there still was the BAT and the MAT, or the Beatmap Approval team, how it was called back then, and such stuff. So I just can talk about when the change between the BAT to the BAT and QAT happened. So I really think we are moving into a good direction with what we are doing now from the old system. Like, it is not as circuit jerk heavy anymore.
Yeah, and that's excellent, man. I mean, it's gotten a lot better. That being said, though, guys, it does look like we're about ready to wrap it up. I want to thank everybody for coming in, and JB, thank you for popping in late and filling in for I'm gonna mess his name up again, Dake Dekane, as well, because he could not fix his mic. And anybody that was here wishing to see him, he probably apologizes. I can't speak for him completely, but thank you guys so much. And Deadbeat, thank you for being here as well. I know you're always here, but still, I've had a very rough week, so I didn't know if I was going to be able to make it till last minute myself. So everything's
that one time I got drunk.
Yeah, that one time. But all right, that was our discussion today. We hope you guys enjoyed, and remember, rhythm is only a click away, and we'll see you next time.